The great crystal hall of the Galactic Senate floated in space like a giant diamond. Inside, hundreds of alien beings sat in floating pods that moved around the massive room. Each pod held a different species from across the galaxy. Some looked like giant birds, others like walking trees, and some like living crystals that sparkled in the light. Captain Lee Daho sat in the human pod near the back of the hall. He wore his Blue Earth Diplomatic Corps uniform and tried to look calm. Next to him sat Ambassador Park Mira, an older woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. She had been talking to aliens for 20 years, but today felt different. Today felt dangerous. "Something is wrong," Park Mira whispered to Daho. "To look at how they are all staring at us." Daho looked around the hall. She was right. Every alien in every pod was looking at the human section. Their eyes were not friendly. Some aliens had multiple eyes, some had no eyes at all. But somehow, Daho could feel their anger. A loud sound filled the hall. It came from the center where a tall, thin alien with 4 arms stood up. This was Ambassador Veltar of the Hegemony. His skin was purple and his head was shaped like a triangle. When he spoke, his voice was like metal scraping against metal. "Citizens of the galaxy," Veltar said, his voice echoing through the hall. "We meet today to discuss a great threat to our peaceful way of life. The species called humans have broken our most sacred laws." Park Mira stood up in her pod. "We demand to know what we are accused of," she said in a strong voice. Veltar turned his 4 eyes toward her. "You will speak when we allow you to speak, human." A new alien floated forward. This one looked like a giant jellyfish made of light. It was Senator Crixtal of the Luminari. His voice was soft like wind through leaves, but his words were hard like stone. "The humans have committed 3 terrible crimes," Crixtal said. "First, they have changed planets without permission. They have taken dead worlds and made them alive. This goes against the Protected Worlds Accords." Daho felt confused. Making dead planets into living planets seemed like a good thing. Why would that be against the law? "Second," Crixtal continued, "they have settled on worlds that were marked as protected. They have built cities where no cities should be. And third," Veltar said, his metal voice getting louder, "they have completely destroyed an entire species. The Zethkari are gone. Every single one of them is dead because of human actions." The hall exploded with angry sounds. Aliens made noises like screaming, roaring, and buzzing. Some banged their pods together. Others flashed bright lights. Daho had never seen aliens so angry. Park Mira stood up again. This time her voice was louder. "The Zethkari were slavers. They were capturing and enslaving primitive species across the galaxy. We saved millions of innocent beings." "That was not your choice to make," shouted another alien. This one looked like a giant insect with 6 legs. "The Zethkari were a recognized species. You had no right to wipe them out." "We tried to reason with them," Park Mira said. "We tried to make them stop. They would not listen. They kept taking slaves. They kept hurting innocent people. So you killed them all," Veltar said. "Every man, woman, and child of their species. You turned their worlds into burning rocks." Daho felt sick. The way Veltar said it made humans sound like monsters. But he remembered the reports from the Zethkari worlds. He remembered seeing the slave camps and the torture chambers. The Zethkari had been doing terrible things for thousands of years. A new voice spoke up. It was deep and rumbling like an earthquake. "The humans are dangerous," the voice said. "They solve problems with violence. They destroy instead of negotiate. They are a threat to the peace we have built." This was General Dices of the Reptilian Dominion. He looked like a giant lizard standing on 2 legs. His teeth were sharp and his claws were long, but even he seemed afraid of humans. "We have studied the humans," Dices continued. "Their entire history is war. They fight each other. They fight nature. They fight everything. They do not know how to live in peace." "That is not true," Park Mira said. "We have been peaceful members of the galactic community for 50 years. 50 years, laughed Veltar, a blink of an eye. "Before you joined us, you spent thousands of years killing each other. Your planet was covered in the smoke of war." More aliens began to speak. Each one told stories about human violence. They talked about human wars, human weapons, and human cruelty. Some of the stories were true, some were not, but all of them made humans sound like terrible monsters. Daho wanted to stand up and defend his species. He wanted to tell them about human kindness and human love. He wanted to explain that humans only fought when they had to fight, but he could see it was no use. The aliens had already decided. "We call for a vote," Veltar said. "All those in favor of declaring war on the human species indicate now." Lights began to flash around the hall. Each pod had a light that showed how that species voted. One by one, the lights turned red. Red meant war. Red meant the aliens wanted to fight humans. Daho counted the lights. There were 847 species in the Galactic Senate. 846 lights turned red. Only one light stayed blue. "The human light. The vote is complete," Veltar announced. 846 to 1. "The Galactic Senate hereby declares war on the human species and all their worlds." The hall erupted in cheers and alien victory sounds. But Park Mira stood up one more time. Her voice cut through the noise like a knife. "We accept your declaration," she said. But know this, we did not want this war. We tried to be good neighbors. We tried to follow your rules. But you have chosen to punish us for saving innocent lives." She paused and looked around the hall. Every alien was listening now. "You think we are monsters because we fought when we had to fight. You think we are dangerous because we would not let evil continue. But you are wrong about one thing." "What is that?" Human Velter asked. "You think this war will be easy?" Park Mira said. "You think we will surrender when we see your great fleets? You think we will beg for mercy when you come to our worlds?" She smiled, but it was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who knew a secret. "We are not the helpless primitives you think we are. We have been preparing for this day since we first looked up at the stars. We hoped it would never come, but we prepared anyway." Daeho felt a chill run down his spine. He had heard rumors about secret military projects. He had heard whispers about hidden weapons and secret ships, but he had never believed them. Now, looking at Park Mira's face, he began to believe. "History will judge which of us was right," Park Mira said. "But history will also judge which of us was ready." The human pod began to move toward the exit. As they left the hall, Daeho heard his communicator buzz. It was a message from Earth Command. The message was short and simple. "All diplomatic solutions have failed. Prepare for total war." As their ship left the crystal hall behind, Daeho looked back at the thousands of alien vessels surrounding them. They looked so confident, so sure of their victory. But Park Mira was right. They had no idea what they had just started. The war between humanity and the galaxy was about to begin. And the galaxy was about to learn that there was a big difference between peaceful and helpless. 3 months had passed since the Galactic Senate declared war on humanity. Now, the largest fleet in galactic history floated at the edge of the Sol system. Over 15,000 alien ships formed a wall of metal and energy that stretched across space like a glowing city. Fleet Admiral Zephyrian stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Harmony. He was tall and blue with 6 arms and golden eyes that sparkled like stars. His species, the Altarians, had been traveling space for 10,000 years. They had never lost a war. "Look at that pathetic system," Zephyrian said to his officers. "One small yellow star with a few rocky planets. How could such a tiny place produce such dangerous creatures?" His second-in-command, Captain Vexina, floated beside him. She looked like a giant butterfly made of silver metal. Her voice sounded like music when she spoke. "The reports say they have only 1,200 ships, Admiral," she said. "Most of them are converted cargo vessels and passenger ships. This will be over in hours." Zephyrian nodded. He had read all the intelligence reports about human technology. Their ships used chemical rockets, ancient technology that most species had abandoned thousands of years ago. Their weapons shot pieces of metal instead of energy beams. Their computers were so primitive they still used electricity. "Send a message to all fleet commanders," Zephyrian ordered. "We will advance in standard formation. The humans will see our overwhelming force and surrender immediately. We must be ready to accept their defeat with dignity." Across the fleet, other alien commanders were having similar conversations. General Dices stood in the war room of his ship, the Scaled Victory. Around him, his reptilian officers studied holographic displays of the human fleet. "Their biggest ships are smaller than our destroyers," one officer hissed, "and they have no energy shields at all. Our weapons will cut through their hull like it is paper." General Vises nodded his massive head. "Remember, we are here to show them the price of violence. When they see what real military power looks like, they will beg for mercy." But far away, on a small blue planet called Earth, a different conversation was taking place. Admiral Kim Jae-sung sat deep underground in a military bunker beneath the city of Seoul. The command center was filled with screens showing the alien fleet. Every human military leader on Earth was watching the same images. 15,000 ships, said General Park Min-ho, shaking his head. "We are outnumbered 12 to 1. "Numbers are not everything," Admiral Kim replied calmly. "Dr. Han, what is the status of our special projects?" Dr. Han Yujin stood up from her computer terminal. She was a small woman with tired eyes and gray hair. For 20 years, she had been working on secret military projects that most humans did not even know existed. "All Ghost Dance ships are ready, Admiral," she said. "The stealth technology is working perfectly. Our ships can become invisible to their sensors." "And the weapons?" Admiral Kim asked. "The kinetic accelerators are loaded and calibrated," Dr. Han replied. "We have studied their shield technology for years. Our weapons will pass right through their defenses." Admiral Kim smiled for the first time in weeks. "Then let us show our alien friends what humans do when cornered." Captain Oh Min-ho received his orders while floating in space near Jupiter. His ship, the Shadow of Earth, was one of the new stealth destroyers. From the outside it looked like empty space. Even his own crew sometimes forgot where their ship was. "All Ghost Dance units, this is command," the radio crackled. "Begin probe attacks. Test their defenses. Learn their weaknesses. But do not reveal your true capabilities yet." Min-ho turned to his crew. "You heard the orders. Let us go hunting." The Shadow of Earth moved toward the alien fleet like a ghost in the darkness. Its engines made no sound, no heat, no light. The alien sensors could not see it coming. The first attack came near Jupiter's largest moon. A small group of alien scout ships was mapping the system, counting human defenses. There were 200 alien vessels in the group, enough to destroy a small planet. Lieutenant Commander Bei Sujin led 12 human fighters against them. Her squadron was called the Wolves, and they had trained for this moment their entire lives. As they approached the alien ships, Sujin could not believe what she was seeing. "Command, this is Wolf Leader," she radioed back to Earth. "The alien ships have no defensive weapons. They are flying in perfect formation with no protection against fighter attack." "Confirmed, Wolf Leader," came the reply. "These are military vessels, but they appear to be designed for show rather than combat." Sujin had studied military history. She knew that some armies throughout the galaxy had never fought real wars. They had parades and ceremonies, but they had never faced an enemy that wanted to kill them. "All wolves. This is Leader," she said to her squadron. "Attack pattern Delta. Aim for their engines and weapon systems. Leave the command ships for last. We want survivors to report back." The human fighters struck like lightning. They came from all directions at once, their weapons precise and deadly. The alien ships tried to turn and fight, but they moved slowly. Their weapons were designed for long-range bombardment, not close combat. In 15 minutes, it was over. 197 alien ships were destroyed or disabled. The 3 surviving vessels fled toward the main fleet as fast as their engines could carry them. Not one human fighter was damaged. The alien survivors sent frantic messages to their commanders. "Unknown attackers destroyed our patrol. They appeared from nowhere. Our shields had no effect on their weapons." But the alien commanders did not believe the reports. How could primitive humans defeat advanced alien technology so easily? Impossible, General Visas said when he heard the news. 200 ships cannot be destroyed by 12 primitive fighters. The humans must have used some kind of trick. Fleet Admiral Zephyrian was also confused. Perhaps they had hidden weapons platforms in the asteroid belt, he suggested. Or maybe they used some kind of suicide attack. Either way, it changes nothing. We still have over 14,000 ships. But Captain Ominho was not finished. His stealth destroyer had been watching the alien fleet carefully. He had learned many interesting things about their formations, their communication patterns, and their technology. "Command, this is Shadow Leader," he reported. "I have been studying the enemy fleet for hours. They have a critical weakness." "What did you find, Captain?" Admiral Kim asked. "They group their ships together for protection, but they do not leave space for maneuvering," Minho explained. "If we can break their formation, they will crash into each other trying to turn around. Also," he continued, "their ships are beautiful, but they are not built for war. They have large windows, decorative parts, and comfortable crew quarters. These ships were designed to impress enemies, not fight them." Admiral Kim felt a cold smile cross his face. The aliens thought they were bringing an army to crush humanity. Instead, they had brought a parade. "All ghost dance units," Admiral Kim ordered. "Prepare for Phase 2. Target their formation leaders and communication ships. When they lose coordination, the real attack begins." As the alien fleet prepared to advance on Earth, they had no idea what was waiting for them. They thought they were hunters coming to destroy dangerous prey. They did not know that they were about to become the hunted. The greatest military disaster in galactic history was about to begin, and it would start with the aliens learning a hard lesson about the difference between looking powerful and being powerful in the depths of space. Human ships moved like shadows toward their targets. The aliens continued to advance in their perfect, beautiful, useless formations. The trap was set soon. The galaxy would learn why humans had spent thousands of years fighting each other. They had been practicing. News of the Jupiter battle spread through the alien fleet like wildfire. Ship commanders talked in worried voices over their communication systems. How had 12 human fighters destroyed 200 alien ships so easily? Fleet Admiral Zeph stood on his bridge, his 6 arms crossed in anger. His golden eyes stared at the reports on his screen. He did not want to believe what he was reading. "It must be a mistake," he said to Captain Vexina. "Primitive humans cannot defeat our advanced technology. The survivors are very clear," Admiral Vexina replied, her musical voice now sounding nervous. "The human weapons went right through our shields like they were not there." "Then we will not give them another chance for tricks," Zephyrian decided. "Order the full fleet to advance. 15,000 ships moving together cannot be stopped by a few hidden fighters." The alien armada began to move toward Earth. Their ships formed perfect lines that stretched across space like a metal river. Each ship was beautiful with smooth curves and shining hull plates. They looked like works of art floating through the darkness. But Captain Nam Haiyanwu was watching them come. His ship, the Retribution, was hidden in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. Around him, dozens of other human ships waited in silence. "Look at them," Nam said to his crew. "They are flying in parade formation. No scouts ahead, no flanking ships, no rear guard. They have never fought a real war." His weapons officer, Lieutenant Seo Jinho, checked his instruments. "All mining charges are in position, Captain. When they pass through the belt, we can activate them." Nam nodded. The asteroid belt was full of old mining equipment that humans had been using for decades, but now, every piece of machinery had been turned into a weapon. When the aliens flew through the belt, they would get a nasty surprise. Wait until they are committed. Nam ordered. Let them get deep into the trap before we spring it. The alien fleet entered the asteroid belt like a parade marching through a city. Their ships moved in straight lines, avoiding the larger rocks, but not worrying about the smaller ones. Why should they worry? Their shields could stop anything. That was when the mining charges exploded. Hundreds of blasts erupted throughout the asteroid belt. The explosions were not meant to destroy the alien ships. Human intelligence knew the alien shields were too strong for that. Instead, the charges threw clouds of rock and metal dust into space, blinding the alien sensors and breaking their perfect formations. What is happening? Fleet Admiral Zephyrian shouted as his ship shook from nearby explosions. Where are these blasts coming from? Unknown, Admiral, his sensor officer replied. Our screens are full of static. We cannot see anything. That was exactly what the humans wanted, Captain. Nam smiled as he watched the alien fleet stumble around blind in the dust clouds. All ships, this is Retribution Actual. Execute Operation Hammerfall. From behind the moon, the Earth Defense Fleet appeared like ghosts becoming solid. These were not the converted cargo ships the aliens expected. These were warships, built in secret over decades of preparation. They were ugly compared to the alien vessels, all sharp angles and heavy armor, but they were designed for one purpose: to kill. Commander Shin Yunha led the first attack wave in her destroyer Lightning Strike. She had trained for this moment her entire career. As her ship accelerated toward the confused alien fleet, she felt a cold calm settle over her. All weapons target the big ships first, she ordered. Hit them hard and fast before they can reorganize. The human ships struck the alien fleet like hammers hitting glass. Their weapons were simple kinetic rounds, pieces of metal fired at incredible speed. But Dr. Park Tae-hyun had designed every bullet to exploit weaknesses in alien shield technology. The alien shields were made to stop energy weapons and plasma bolts. They had never been tested against solid projectiles moving at relativistic speeds. The human rounds passed through the shields like they were not there and punched massive holes in the alien ships. Impossible. General Vissus roared as his flagship shuddered under impact. Their primitive weapons should not be able to penetrate our defenses. But the human attack was just beginning. Captain Choi Woo-jin commanded the assault frigate Vengeance, and his job was the most dangerous of all. While other ships fought at long range, his team had to get close to the enemy. Boarding teams, prepare for insertion, Choi ordered. Remember your training, these aliens have never seen real combat. The Vengeance flew straight at a disabled alien cruiser. Its hull was designed to survive ramming attacks. When it hit the alien ship, it did not destroy it. Instead, it locked onto the hull like a giant parasite. Human Marines poured through the breach. They wore heavy combat armor and carried weapons designed for close fighting. The alien crew tried to resist, but they had never faced soldiers who actually wanted to hurt them. Sergeant Lee Kyung-min led his squad through the alien ship's corridors. The passages were wide and decorated with beautiful artwork. The lighting was soft and comfortable. Everything was designed for peaceful living, not warfare. This is not a warship, he radioed back to Captain Choi. This is like a luxury hotel, with guns attached to it. The alien crew were just as unprepared for combat as their ship. They wore decorative uniforms that looked impressive but offered no protection. When they saw human soldiers coming toward them with weapons ready, most of them simply surrendered. Please do not hurt us, one alien officer begged. We yield. We yield. Lee felt almost sorry for them. These were not evil creatures. They were just people who had never learned that sometimes violence was the only language that worked. All across the battlefield, the same scene was repeated. Human ships appeared from hidden positions and struck with devastating precision. Alien vessels, beautiful but fragile, broke apart under the assault. The perfect formations dissolved into chaos as ships tried to flee in all directions. Fleet Admiral Zephyrian watched his fleet die around him in 2 hours. Over half his ships were destroyed or captured. The survivors were fleeing toward Mars, sending desperate messages to their home worlds. This is impossible, he whispered. We have 15,000 ships, they have only 1,200. How are we losing? Captain Vexina, her silver wings torn by shrapnel, tried to explain. Admiral, they are not fighting like civilized beings. They use weapons we cannot defend against. They attack from hiding. They board our ships and fight hand to hand. But we are superior, Zephyrian protested. Our technology is thousands of years more advanced. Our technology is designed for peace, Vexina said sadly. Theirs is designed for war. As his flagship began to lose power, Zephyrian managed to send one final message to the galaxy, warning to all Galactic Alliance forces. The humans are not what we believe them to be. They are not primitive. They are apex predators. We have awakened something terrible. The transmission cut off as the eternal harmony went dark. Drifting powerless in space, Captain Nom watched the alien retreat from his position in the asteroid belt. The greatest fleet in galactic history was running away from a force 1/10 its size. Command, this is Retribution, he reported to Earth. Enemy fleet is broken and retreating. We have captured over 3,000 alien vessels and taken hundreds of thousands of prisoners. Casualties, came the reply from Admiral Kim. 17 ships damaged, 3 destroyed. Nam replied, total human casualties, 43 dead, 112 wounded. There was silence on the communication channel. Finally, Admiral Kim spoke again. Good work, Captain. But this is just the beginning. Now the real war starts. As the human fleet began collecting prisoners and salvaging alien technology, everyone knew that Kim was right. The aliens would not give up after one defeat. They would send more ships, bigger fleets, stronger weapons. But they would also send them with new knowledge. They now knew that humans were not primitive savages. They were something much more dangerous. They were warriors who had spent thousands of years learning how to kill. After the great victory at Seoul, humanity did not celebrate for long. Admiral Yu Sung-min stood in the Earth Command Center studying star maps that showed alien military bases across the galaxy. They will regroup, he told his staff. They will gather more ships and come back stronger. We cannot wait for them to attack again. General Park Sung-ho nodded in agreement. Our intelligence shows they have military bases in 47 star systems. If we let them organize another fleet, they might bring 50,000 ships next time. Then we do not let them organize, Admiral Yu decided. We take the fight to them. This was the birth of the Terra Expeditionary Force, human ships designed to strike fast and hard across interstellar distances. Using technology captured from the Zethkari years ago, human engineers had built ships that could travel between stars in days, instead of months. Captain Rujun Sang stood on the bridge of the Silent Thunder, humanity's first stealth carrier. His ship was invisible to alien sensors and carried 50 fighter craft in its hidden bays. Around him, his crew prepared for their first deep space mission. Target is the Kepler 442 system, Ru announced to his pilots. Intelligence reports a major alien supply depot and shipyard. Our job is to destroy it before they can repair their fleet. Lieutenant Commander Jung Meek-young, leader of the carrier's fighter squadron, studied the mission briefings. Sir, the reports show over 1,000 alien ships at that base. Are we really going to attack with just 50 fighters? Ju smiled grimly. Remember what we learned at Seoul, Lieutenant. It is not about how many ships they have. It is about how well they can use them. The Silent Thunder dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler 442 system. The alien base was exactly where intelligence said it would be. A massive space station surrounded by hundreds of ships under repair. My God, whispered the ship's sensor officer, Lieutenant Kim So-young. Look at the size of that thing. It is bigger than most moons. The alien space station was indeed enormous. It had dozens of docking bays, manufacturing facilities, and defensive platforms. Thousands of alien workers moved like ants across its surface. This was one of the most important military bases in the galaxy. Launch all fighters, Captain Ru ordered. Execute attack pattern Omega. The human fighters launched from the Silent Thunder like bullets from a gun. They were small, fast, and completely invisible to alien sensors. Each fighter carried enough firepower to destroy a ship 10 times its size. Jung Meek-young led her squadron toward the station's main reactor core. Remember, we hit the power systems first. Without power, their defenses cannot work. The attack began at exactly 0300 station time, when most of the alien workers were asleep. Human fighters swept through the base like ghosts, their weapons striking critical systems with surgical precision. The alien defense systems tried to respond, but they could not target enemies they could not see. Their weapons fired blindly into space while human fighters destroyed one facility after another. This is too easy, Jung said over the radio. They have no defenses against stealth attacks at all. Within 30 minutes, the great alien base was a drifting wreck. Its reactors were dead, its shipyards destroyed, and its defensive platforms silent. Over 800 alien ships had been destroyed while they sat helpless in their repair bays. The psychological impact was even greater than the physical damage. Across the galaxy, alien commanders received the terrifying news. Humans could strike anywhere, anytime, without warning. Commander Quillanax of the Centauri Defense Force read the reports with growing horror. They destroyed the Kepler base. How is that possible? It was the most heavily defended position in the sector. His aide, a young officer named Zektar, looked at the tactical display with fear in his eyes. Sir, the humans are not fighting like any enemy we have ever faced. They do not declare their attacks. They do not demand surrender. They just appear and destroy everything. Quillanax felt a chill run through his body. For thousands of years, galactic warfare had been civilized. Armies met in open space, declared their intentions, and fought according to established rules. The losing side surrendered with honor, and the winning side treated prisoners with dignity. But humans did not follow these rules. They fought to win, not to look honorable. Order all remaining fleets to fall back to Kepler 44 to be, Quillanax commanded. We will make our stand at the fortress world. The orbital defense grid there has never been penetrated. Kepler-442b was the strongest military position in the galaxy. The planet was surrounded by thousands of defensive platforms, each one powerful enough to destroy a battleship. Energy shields covered the entire planet like a glowing bubble. No enemy had ever broken through its defenses. 8,000 alien ships gathered behind the planet's shields was the remainder of the once mighty Galactic Alliance fleet, the survivors of dozens of battles, all seeking safety behind the strongest defenses in known space. General Lim Donghain received the intelligence reports about the alien fortress while aboard his command ship, the Iron Fist. He studied the defensive systems with the eye of a professional soldier. Interesting, he said to his staff. They think their shields will protect them. His chief engineer, Captain Park Minwoo, looked at the data with confusion. Sir, those energy shields are incredibly powerful. Our weapons cannot penetrate them. Who said anything about penetrating them? Lim asked with a cold smile. Engineers Kim and Park, I have a special mission for you. Kim So-young and Park Minwoo found themselves aboard a converted mining ship, heading toward the asteroid belt around Kepler-442b. Their job was simple but terrifying. Turn asteroids into weapons. This is insane, Park muttered as he attached rocket engines to a chunk of rock the size of a city block. We are going to throw rocks at the most advanced defensive system in the galaxy. Not just rocks, Kim corrected him. Rocks moving at 30% the speed of light. The plan was brilliant in its simplicity. Energy shields were designed to stop energy weapons and small projectiles. They had never been tested against massive objects moving at relativistic speeds. The asteroids would hit the shields with more force than 100 nuclear weapons. Captain, on GIT I commanded the human fleet as it approached the fortress world. His battlecruiser Iron Will led 50 ships against 8,000 alien vessels. The odds were impossible, but On had learned not to trust odds when fighting aliens. Open a channel to the enemy fleet, he ordered. The alien commanders were surprised to receive a human transmission. They had expected the humans to attack without warning, as they had done everywhere else. This is the human fleet, On announced. You have one chance to surrender. We are not here for conquest. We are here to end this war. Choose wisely. The response came from Admiral Kethfer, commander of the alien fleet. His voice was full of anger and pride. Never. The Galactic Alliance will never bow to primitives. Our shields are impenetrable. Our weapons are supreme. So be it, On replied sadly. Begin bombardment. The asteroid struck the planetary shields like the hammer of an angry god. Each impact released energy equivalent to a star-going supernova. The beautiful energy bubble around the planet flickered, sparked, and died, with the shields down. The human fleet moved in for the kill. Their weapons designed to exploit alien weaknesses cut through the enemy ships like knives through paper. The great fortress that had never been conquered fell in less than 4 hours. Admiral Kethfer's final transmission was broadcast across the galaxy. How did you turn our greatest strength into our greatest weakness? What kind of monsters are you? Captain On's reply was heard by every alien in the galaxy. We are the monsters you created when you declared war on those who only wanted to protect the innocent. As the human fleet collected prisoners and salvaged technology, General Lim received reports from across the galaxy. Alien fleets were surrendering without a fight. Entire star systems were declaring neutrality. The Great Galactic Alliance was falling apart. Sir, his communication officer reported, we are receiving surrender offers from 47 different species. They want to negotiate peace terms. Lim nodded grimly. Tell them we will consider their offers. But first, they must prove they are serious about peace. How do they do that, sir? They help us hunt down the remaining war criminals, Lim replied. Starting with the senators who voted for this war. Across the galaxy, the message was clear. The hunters had become the hunted. The species that had thought themselves superior to humanity were now begging for mercy from the primitives they had tried to destroy. The war was almost over, but the galaxy would never be the same. 6 months after the war began, the once mighty Galactic Senate met an emergency session aboard the diplomatic vessel Last Hope. The Great Crystal Hall was gone, destroyed in a human raid 3 weeks earlier. Now the surviving senators crowded into a small meeting room aboard a ship that drifted helplessly in space. Admiral Chu Sung-hoon watched the alien vessel from the bridge of his flagship, Terra's Wrath. Around him, the human fleet maintained a respectful distance, but their weapons, to remain ready. Trust was something that had to be earned, and the aliens had not earned it yet. Admiral, his communication officer reported, we are picking up internal transmissions from the alien ship. They are arguing about surrender terms. Let them argue, Chu replied. They started this war. They can finish it properly. Inside the Last Hope, the debate had been going on for hours. Where once 847 species had gathered in pride and power, now only 200 representatives remained. Many worlds had already surrendered separately to humanity. Others had simply withdrawn from the alliance entirely. Senator Veltar, one of the original architects of the war, stood at the center of the room. His purple skin had faded to a sickly gray, and his forearms trembled as he spoke. We must face the truth, he said to the assembled delegates. We have lost completely and utterly lost, that humans have destroyed our fleets, captured our bases, and broken our alliance. We have no choice but to surrender. Ambassador Quinder of the crystalline hegemony flashed angry colors. If we surrender now, we tell the galaxy that violence works. We tell everyone that aggression and brutality triumph over law and civilization. What civilization? Demanded Senator Vissis, whose own fleets had been annihilated at the Battle of Proxima Centauri. What law? We declared war on a species for stopping slave traders. We attacked them for saving innocent lives. Where was our law then? The argument that followed was loud and bitter. Some aliens still believed they were in the right. Others wanted to keep fighting until the last ship was destroyed. But most just wanted the killing to stop. Senator Crixtel of the Luminari, his light dim with sorrow, finally spoke the words that ended the debate. I have studied the human military reports. Do you know how many of our people have died in this war? Over 2 million. Do you know how many humans have died? Less than 3,000. The room fell silent. The numbers were devastating. Humanity had fought the entire galaxy and barely suffered any losses at all. They're not just winning, Crixtel continued. They are barely trying. Every battle report shows the same thing. Humans offering surrender terms, aliens refusing, humans destroying, alien forces with minimal effort. We are not fighting a war, we are committing suicide. Admiral Park's agent of the human fleet waited patiently aboard the Terra's Wrath for the aliens to make their decision. Beside her stood diplomatic envoy Lee Hiram, carrying the official surrender documents that Earth Command had prepared. Do you think they will accept our terms? Lee asked. Admiral Park nodded. They have no choice. We have been generous, considering what they tried to do to us. The human terms were indeed generous. Complete withdrawal from human space, reparations for the unprovoked attack, and dissolution of the protected worlds accords that had prevented intervention against species like the Zeth. But no occupation of alien worlds, no enslavement of alien populations, no revenge killings. We could have demanded much more, Lee observed. We could have, Park agreed. But we are not conquerors, we are protectors. There is a difference. Captain Ko Young-soo, commanding the escort destroyer Defender's Pride, was monitoring alien communications when the breakthrough finally came. Senator Crixtel's voice, heavy with defeat, made the motion that would end the war. I move for unconditional surrender to the human forces. The vote was quick and unanimous. Every surviving senator voted yes. The war was over. Fleet Admiral Zathak was one of the few senior alien commanders to survive the war. His flagship had been crippled in the Battle of Kepler 442, but the humans had rescued his crew and treated his wounds. Now he stood in the surrender ceremony aboard the human flagship, facing Admiral Park's agent. We came to punish you for your violence, he said, his voice filled with shame. We believed ourselves civilized and you primitive. We learned too late that there is a difference between civilization and weakness, between peace and cowardice. He paused, looking around at the human officers who surrounded him. They were young and old, men and women, all united by something the aliens had never understood. You have shown us what true strength looks like, Zathak continued. Not the strength to destroy, but the strength to protect. Not the strength to conquer, but the strength to defend those who cannot defend themselves. Admiral Park's response was recorded by every news service in the galaxy. Her words would be remembered for centuries. We never wanted this war, Admiral. We tried to be peaceful neighbors. We tried to follow your laws. But we will never apologize for protecting innocent lives from predators like the Zeth. She looked directly at the alien commander, her eyes hard but not unkind. The galaxy is changing. Admiral, species like the Zethkari will no longer be tolerated. Peace is not the absence of conflict, it is the willingness to fight for what is right. As the surrender ceremony concluded, Captain Seo Taeyong of the patrol cruiser New Dawn received a message from Earth Command. The content was simple but historic. Humanity had been invited to take a permanent seat on the reformed Galactic Council, not as conquerors but as protectors. The message explained that dozens of species had requested human protection from various threats. Pirates, slavers, and aggressive neighbors all suddenly found themselves facing a new reality. Humanity was watching and humanity would act. It seems we have a new job, Captain Seo told her crew. Instead of exploring the galaxy, we are going to be guarding it, the crew cheered. They had signed up to defend humanity. But defending the innocent was even better. 10 years later, the galaxy was a very different place. The human-led Galactic Defense Force had eliminated 17 predatory species and liberated hundreds of enslaved worlds. Piracy had almost disappeared. Slavery was becoming extinct. Wars between civilized species were now rare. Admiral Kim Tae-won, now Supreme Commander of Allied Forces, maintained his headquarters on the rebuilt Nexus Prime. His philosophy was simple and effective: peace through strength, protection through vigilance. The old Galactic Senate building had been torn down and replaced with a memorial to the lost. It honored both human and alien lives lost in the war with a simple inscription: they died so that others might live free. Ambassador Yoon Hae-young led the new Galactic Council, where decisions were made not through fear or politics, but through the hard-won wisdom of those who understood that sometimes the price of peace was warred on in the Outer Rim, where new threats still emerged from the darkness between stars. Human ships patrolled the void with a simple message broadcast on all frequencies. This is the Human Defense Fleet. We are here. You are safe. The galaxy slept peacefully, knowing that its guardians never did. But perhaps the most important change was not in the galaxy itself, but in how its people thought about strength and weakness, about civilization and barbarism, about the difference between those who talk about peace and those who fight for it. The humans had taught the galaxy a lesson that would never be forgotten. True civilization was not the absence of violence, but the willingness to use violence only to protect the innocent. And in a galaxy full of predators and prey, someone had to be the guardians. Humanity had chosen that role, not because they wanted to rule, but because someone had to stand between the darkness and the light. The galaxy was safe, and it would remain safe as long as humans remembered the lesson of their own violent history, that the strong must protect the weak, no matter the cost. The war was over. The peace had begun, and in the depths of space, human ships continued their eternal watch, ready to answer the call whenever innocent voices cried out for help. They were no longer just explorers or traders or diplomats. They were humanity, and humanity did not abandon its own.